I'm calling on behalf of the Mice Nest.
Mice nest?
Yes, Mice Nest. It's a nest of mice. They finished chewing through your RV wiring, so the fire should start soon.
Can we cancel that?
Oh, sorry. Once scheduled, they can't really stop because they're mice. A nest of them.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Oh, and if you could stay on the line for a quick survey.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Sign of the sad times. We have a virtual, you want to call it insurrection? I don't know what you're going to call it. Let's call it the destruction of Miami Beach in my home state. Thousands of arrests, thousands of people with drug usage, assaults, mayhem, vandalism, murder even, with regard to a young girl and others down in Miami Beach. People coming from the north, invading during spring break. Of course, a lot of these people weren't there for spring break. They were just there. Predominantly African American, well over 90%. This is a problem among Black youth. Black leadership, if you want to call it leadership at all, doesn't want to address it. They'd rather blame others. The fact that the police have had to move in and they've been assaulted as well and conduct thousands of arrests, and that the mayor had to make a curfew of 8 p.m., which frankly was too late in the evening, given what was going on, is being called racism by the NAACP and others. This is a problem. And frankly, let me be blunt. Unless non-African Americans, including whites, start to speak out, start to push back, this country is being taken over by radicals. Radical blacks, radicals of the Marxian Jewish left, who are Marxists, the disciples of Karl Marx, Leon Trotsky, Saul Alinsky, and George Soros. And you know, I'm Jewish Christian myself, so you can't call me anti-Semitic. I'm also a Zionist. But I call my own so-called groups out. These people are not even really Jews to begin with, so that's not relevant. Radical LGBTQs, radical atheists, socialists, communists. You don't have to be radical if you're a socialist and a communist, and others, because their goal is to destroy society. So you have to destroy the majority first. And the people that are in the line of fire are whites, and particularly white males, not just with regard to Miami Beach or not just regard to the court system, which is the case it is, or others, but you have to destroy the majority. Well, we are a country which is ruled, in theory, by a majority. It's called a democratic state. But more importantly than that, people have to speak out. Look what's going on. Let's go beyond Miami Beach. False claims of racism. People trying to get away with things just by playing the race card. The book that I wrote, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. Forget the Scandal Industry perhaps is a title as important as It Takes a Revolution. You can get it at all major booksellers, barnesandnoble.com, booksamillion.com, amazon.com. You can get it at freedomwatchusa.org with a contribution of $50 or more, which allows us to do our work. We have to do more than just sit there and be entertained on Fox News and Sean Hannity. All you hear is talk today as the country has been destroyed in a short 8.5 weeks. Perhaps it's 9 weeks at this point. Actions by the Biden-Harris administration, by the lackeys of the radical left who go along with this garbage, have destroyed the country, not just with regard to the legal immigration to the southern border where drugs are pouring across, cartels, children being trafficked, not even being related to anybody who's coming across, just children. This is something which is very serious. Raising of taxes. This is what happened in the years leading up to the revolution. That's the reason we fought the revolution. No taxation without representation. I can go on and on. You know what I'm talking about. In fact, we have no representation. You've got these radical Democrats, the Democrats who become an evil party, inhabited literally by the devil. And then you've got the Republican Party with no representation. The Republican Party's dead. They just sit there, watch, complain phonies like Tom Cotton, like Lindsey Graham, like Rand Paul, like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, when his people were dying in Texas of the cold, fled for Cancun, Mexico with his family. This is the Republican Party. It's finished. It's done. It's dead. And that is why I'm rising up, and you need to get up off the couch. Stop being entertained. You know, Rush Limbaugh's not around anymore, sadly. Time not to be entertained. Time to rise up and fight for this country. I know you even can't use the word fight. That's considered to be provocative. If you use the word fight, the FBI, which has become Biden and Harris's Gestapo, will go out and hunt you down. That's what they did to the people that were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, and that's what they're doing to quell any dissent. This is a total leftist takeover, and the FBI is being used as the patsy of the left. I'm sure that those agents don't want to do what they're doing. They've been ordered to do it. The police are the ones that let people into the Capitol because they've had it. They see the rampant corruption in government, endemic in all three branches, particularly the judicial branch. And Jefferson predicted that federal judges in particular, because they're unelected, unaccountable to the people, would become despots and tyrants, causing us to shed the blood of patriots every 20 years or so. And then he added, what's a few thousand dead to refresh the tree of liberty? He didn't want to see anybody hurt. Neither do I. But this is the natural result, the natural manure, as he put it, of what goes on in a society, the corruption. And it was another founding father, John Adams, who said, without ethics, morality, and religion, you will not have a lasting liberty. It won't matter how many times you change your rulers or forms of government. But we are at the point where we have to change the government. At the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, it says, when the sovereign, when in the course of human events, the rulers no longer represent the people, I'm paraphrasing, they have a right on the laws of nature, nature's God, to alter or abolish that government and to form a new government by and for the people with equal rights for everyone in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Jefferson was more eloquent. So were the other founding fathers, but the message is pure. This country is in worse shape than it was as a colonial power in 1776. King George III was not a socialist. King George III was not a communist. King George III was not an atheist. He was not a radical Muslim. He was not a radical of the Marxian Jewish left. He was not a radical LGBTQ. He was not a radical feminist. He was not a radical black. Most people in these groups are good people, but the radicals have taken over and they've gotten a hold of Joe Biden. And talk about Joe Biden. Last Thursday, we began the process to have him and his son Hunter and his brother James and soon other family members indicted for a massive bribery scheme, laundering money from communist China, Ukraine, and Russia. This president, if you want to call him that, I don't recognize him as president. I'm sorry, I don't. Elected through fraud. But this president is, in fact, bought and paid for by the butchers of Beijing. And if those butchers had been in charge of Washington, D.C. on January 6th, they would have murdered everyone, just like they did at Tiananmen Square in 1991 with students who simply carried a mock-up statue of the Statue of Liberty through the streets of Beijing. This is who's in control of this country as COVID has destroyed this country. And it will continue. Make no mistake about it, COVID is not going away. The government is lying to the American people. They don't know that these vaccines even cover the variants which are now pouring into this country, the mutations. What China did was to engineer a strain of the virus, which they got, which was sent over, according to my client, Dr. Judy Mikovits, from Fort Detrick. That's our lab that investigates and creates itself bioweapons. They sent a strain over the Wuhan lab, and they engineered it into a bioweapon. You don't think the Chinese didn't engineer that into a bioweapon? What country or what world, what solar system do you live in? The communist Chinese are evil. The Chinese people are a good people, but the Chinese regime is evil. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to destroy this country and the rest of the Western world. I have lawsuits in Dallas, Texas, on behalf of Freedom Watch, and Jerusalem, Israel, against the communist Chinese for the damage they have done, health-wise, in terms of emotion, in terms of economic. Where is our so-called government? Why aren't they doing it? Because they're bought and paid for by the communist Chinese as well. All you hear is blowhards like Tom Cotton going around. He's the great hero. He's going to run for president. He ain't running for nothing. He couldn't win as dog catcher. Because these people don't do anything. They just raise money. They go on Fox News and they get reelected. Power and money. That's what it's about. So the American people need to rise up. Get up off the couch. Turn off Sean Hannity. It's a joke. Same monologue every day. Nothing new. What is new is this country is destroyed. So we need to resurrect it. So join Freedom Watch's Justice League at freedomwatchusa.org. Join our citizens' grand juries. We're indicting Biden. We will then try him. We will have him sentenced. We will seek to mete out the sentences peacefully and legally. We have the right to do that peacefully and legally. Read my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. Again, you can get it at all major booksellers online. Books a million, Barnes & Noble. Amazon's playing games these days, so buy it from those booksellers. You know who they are. I've had to sue them many, many times. This is what we're dealing with. And you, the American people, better wake up, because soon these radicals will be on your front lawn, demanding the keys to your house, your car, everything you own. They'll come to harm you because they want us dead. That's the reality. They want us dead. The country is no longer run by the majority. It's run by a small minority of these groups that are socialists, communists, atheists, and you name it. So wake up, America. Your time is up. If you want a country, rise up. Just don't sit there and be entertained. That's my message for today. God bless you. God bless your family. Remember that God helps those, the Father and the Son, that helps themselves. But if you don't rise up now, you'll have nothing left. That's my message this Monday. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.
The sweet aromas of the apple fritter, cinnamon roll, and blueberry muffin are hard to resist. So making it home without reaching into the McDonald's bag is no easy task. Make it easier by ordering ahead on the McDonald's app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Mobile order and pay participating McDonald's. Order and pay participating McDonald's. Order